Chirijioi bari lasuna Dutkunda goi buitambe pulgo basuna.
As Westerners trek through Nepal, with their eyes fixed on the Himalayas and Mount Everest, they seldom take notice of the complex spiritual rituals of the Nepalese people. Yet Nepal has one of the most diverse cultures in the world. Here, Buddhism and Hinduism are practiced side by side with the ancient and esoteric rituals of shamanism. Archaeological evidence suggests that shamanism is the oldest known spiritual tradition, dating back thousands of years before the dawn of history. The Nepalese shaman is commonly called a jhankri. He or she is a traditional healer who, as a representative of community members, will intercede with the supernatural spirits and deities that affect their health and fortune. Anthropologist Dr. Peter Skafte became a student of Nepalese shamanism 23 years ago. He apprenticed himself to a master shaman in order to learn this ancient art of healing.
The red and the white ribbon, they are representing the Sikharis, right?
His teacher, Kana, has allowed Dr. Skafte to film these never-before-documented images of shaman life. Recently, Dr. Skafte formed a non-profit organisation dedicated to recording vanishing folk traditions among indigenous peoples.
Shamanism, the reason it's always fascinated me is because it's such a very special way of thinking about the world. And we tend to, I think, in Western society, think about the world very much like an object, a machine that is set in motion by natural causality. We see it as simply, can we figure out the mechanism, we can predict everything. Nobody's doing much about really preserving the qualities that defined all these societies and the folk traditions and so on. So we are all here to have a cultural adventure, and we are here to record it the best we possibly can with great diligence and try to interpret it for others in some way.
Dr. Skafte's teacher, Kana, lives in the foothills south of the world's highest mountain, Mount Everest. It is the month of Saun in Nepal, the time of the monsoon rains. By the lunar calendar, this period falls between the full moon of July and August. The shamans believe that all the gods have retreated to the underworld, and that holy spells, called mantras, which the shamans use to heal, have lost their power during this period. Kana spends this time teaching his students, his apprentice shamans, passing on his enormous knowledge to them.
The shaman is both religious leader, doctor, psychiatrist, and teacher. And what the students have to learn is extremely complex. In a sense, it's just as complex as what we would have to learn in a university in a modern society. This relationship is a very, very close one. This apprenticeship takes on the elements of being a family. They will stay together in most cases for the rest of their lives.
Kana leads his students to a cave.
caves are the wombs of the earth, where new shamans are born. Bara becomes possessed by the spirit of her deceased younger sister.
सिद्धिनु जान्थ्यो
पानीको लोटा त्यता कहाँ पुर्याछ नि ल्याले त्यो मास्तिरसम्म यो चढाइदिनु
Bara has appeased her sister's spirit.
हजुर फर्स्टमा 7 वर्षदेखि छ कुनैले उतारे तपाईले उतारेको हजुर
त्यो भन्ने कुरा छ गुफा पनि छ गुफा पनि छ त्यो गुफा पनि यसो देख्यौँ
Chiriji oi bari lasona.
During the monsoon, daily cloudbursts drench the landscape. There is much suffering in the village. Many people are sick with waterborne diseases and congestive lung problems. Kana tells those in need of his services to be patient. Perhaps he can help after the gods have returned from the underworld on the next full moon. Soon, Kana says, I will go to the holy mountain of Tangnadara. There, with all the shamans from the region, we will greet the gods and beg them to rejuvenate our healing power. The phases of the moon govern all aspects of life in Nepal. Month after month, it spells out the yearly cycle of festivals. the shaman must scrutinize the phases of the moon each night to determine the most propitious time for healing rituals. The day arrives. Kana and his apprentices, together with friends and relatives, gather for the journey. No pilgrimage of this sort can be successful without the observance of proper rituals. Kana and his students enter an empowered mental and physical state by letting guiding spirits possess their bodies. Between them and the holy mountain lies 30 miles of treacherous trails that climb thousands of feet up out of the Solo River Valley through landslides and leech-infested country. The journey will take 2 days, and they will dance and drum almost the entire way. There is great excitement as Kana and his followers pass from village to village. Crowds of people greet the shamans all along the way. Some place refreshments in their path. If the shamans stop and conduct their rituals, it will be a blessing on the host's family. Here and there, throughout the region, there are holy places where particular spirits and deities must be honored.
Their world is populated with 30 million gods. In the mountains are gods, in the jungles can be the goddesses that you have to be careful with and pay respect to as you are walking through the landscape. At the river crossings are various kinds of spirits, and sometimes you have to do a little prayer to them. So there's a sense of total unity, spiritual unity of everything around here, which I think is also a powerful force for the preservation of the land, because it is felt so keenly by the people who believe.
Lungu del Jaubari Marine Raicha.
It is the full moon day and the shaman's holy Sabbath. It is the time of the god's homecoming and the most favourable time to ask for divine blessings. Crowds flock towards the summit of Tangnadara. In Nepal, Hindu or Buddhist priests are the primary leaders at most religious functions, but on this day, it is the shaman's turn to lead the community's worship of the gods. Kana looks towards the summit of Tangnadara. High above, the region's shamans are gathering together with their students. Kana must choose the best moment to make his grand entrance. He does not want to interfere with other groups. The moment has come. Kana and his followers begin their ascent of the holy mountain. Tangnadara is one of many holy places in the mountains that is visited by the god and goddess Shiva and Parvati. On their return from the underworld, the gods dwell in a small rock here. It is now covered with sacred red powder. Offerings of flowers and small copper tridents are placed around the rock. The red powder from the rock is smeared on a finger and then pressed on the pilgrim's forehead as a blessing. The shamans must circle the summit 3 times. Finally, Kana and his students gather to call the gods and ask them to restore their healing powers. There are more than 45 shamans present from many different ethnic groups. An air of camaraderie and lightheartedness permeates the gathering. They are united in the body of Lord Shiva. Together, they tremble with his holy power.
At the Guru Puja, all the gods and the spirits are invited to sit on the 3 tiers of a model of Mount Kailash. The shamans allow themselves to be possessed by the monkey god, completing the happy celebration of their teacher Kana.
Back home from Tangnadara, Kana feels once again confident that he can heal the sick. His most difficult case is a woman who has been attacked by the spirit of her dead uncle. The man died tragically from falling off a cliff several years ago. Now his spirit is trapped in this world. The woman is suffering from serious pains in her heart and chest. The healing ritual which Kana is going to conduct is called a Sindhi ceremony. It has 4 stages. First, the empowerment of ritual objects and the calling in of the gods. Second, the soul journey of Kana into the underworld. And third, the exorcism of the malevolent spirit from the patient. The 4th stage is giving thanks to the gods and the spirits for their assistance.
The shamanic state is called a trance state. It is feeling of being absolutely filled with the powers to the point where you are trembling and being extremely light. So you're almost floating. And once you are feeling that, you see the images of the patients, you can see the images of futures in the past, like you're seeing many, many mirrors reflecting what is happening and will happen. And you can ask, while you're in that state of being, for how to heal, and you also have a sense of certainty that you can do it.
As the party moves outside to perform the third stage of the Sindhi ceremony, Kana allows us to film never-before-documented rituals, which will drive the spirit away and heal the patient.
The Sindhi has to be driven out of the patient, and in this case it has to be tricked. And to do so, they dress up two people as the ghost father and mother. And the ghost father and mother will call the spirit and say, come out here and eat. Come and have something to eat. And they have built a special place for the spirit to feed. They hang a little piece of paper. And on the paper, they have written all the names of all the different ethnic groups and castes in the Nepalese society. And when the spirit finally comes for the food, the shaman throws kerosene or alcohol into the bowl. It bursts into flames with an enormous flash and burns up the little platform where the spirit is feeding. The spirit then gets totally confused and disoriented. And at that point, the shaman keeps disorienting it by blowing out fireballs. He sprays kerosene on a torch. It's actually a very dangerous practice, but he seems to be able to do it with no ill effect whatsoever. And the spirit is now driven out of the property where it's been haunting the patient.
To fully exorcise the Sindhi spirit, Kana must drive it outside the perimeter of the family's house.
As it's getting outside of the perimeter, a stake is driven into the ground, and this stake has a special mantra on it that keeps the Sindhi spirit from returning. It also has a guardian hunting spirit called a sikari sitting on that little stake and keeping the ghost from coming back and making the patient sick. Eventually, the Sindhi spirit is driven into the road outside of the house, and they find a crossroads. And it's tradition in Nepal to bury such ghosts in the crossroad. And they quickly dig a grave and force the spirit into the grave, where they then place a stake, and then they cremate the ghost while it's in the grave. And this is going to help it to complete its stay in this world and move on and stop bothering the family.
Shamanic traditions speak to a place in the human psyche that is important to us today. The shamans possess secrets of healing and ministering to the soul that we have lost in today's modern and increasingly homogeneous culture.
When you live in a society, you have certain assumptions. There's a lot of unquestioned assumptions that you simply live with, and you never question much if you don't have another mirror to look at yourself from. And so you need other perspectives. And when you see other societies like here in Nepal, you gain another perspective and you begin questioning yourself. Greater diversity means a greater chance for survival. I think we should maintain cultural diversity. The most important reason for preserving that is because the wellspring of human consciousness really comes from all this diversity that we can experience. Once we cut down our own potential for experience, we lose potential consciousness.
The influence of industrial society is spreading to all corners of the world with increasing speed, ushering in different ways of thinking. When shamans no longer have a community that supports their belief systems, they will disappear. With them, an important part of our human heritage will also vanish.
Aye o aye lai lai Julapi palme ngale ma Julapi palme ngale ma Sanjeli Rani